Holy Regency era romance, Batman! Actually wearing this because I have allergies and my eyes are all puffy. But we're going to be talking about Queen Charlotte, Bridgerton love story. Let's do this. Mended Light. This is going to be the first in a series of Queen Charlotte videos here on Mended Light. As Lady Whistledown says at the beginning of the series, all deviations from fact are intentional. We're dealing with historical fiction, emphasis on the fiction, and it is delightful. So we're going to do a video on love and understanding in marriage, really knowing and seeing your partner and what their needs are. We're going to do a video on loving someone who suffers from mental illness. And then we're just going to do an under the bed video because if you've seen the series, the whole under the bed thing is so adorable. And how can we have our own under the bed moments? But let's start with love and understanding in a relationship. So for those of you who haven't seen this or who haven't seen Bridgerton, Bridgerton is like saucy Jane Austen, right? Jane Austen meets modern sensibilities. So they throw in a lot of whoo, hee hee, whoo. That's sex. Hubba hubba. Here Charlotte is betrothed to George, and it's one of those Regency era royal weddings where it's all about uniting the families and uniting the countries, and they haven't even met on their wedding day, and she's just thinking she's gonna bolt. She doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to get married, and this is when she meets George for the first time as she's trying to escape her own wedding. Here we go.
If you must know, I'm trying to ascertain the best way to climb over the garden wall.
Climb? Whatever for?
Because I think he may be a beast.
A beast?
Or a troll.
Who are we discussing?
Oh, well, that is impertinent. None of your business. The king. No one will speak of him. No one. He is clearly a beast or a troll.
Understood.
You know, if I grab there, yes, perhaps you could assist me by lifting me up there?
One question. You do not like beasts or trolls? What he looks like matters?
I do not care what he looks like. What I do not like is not knowing. Now, here. Just take hold here. With a lift, I believe I can make it over the garden wall.
You want me to lift you over the wall so you may escape?
That is what I said, yes.
People will notice you are missing, will they not?
I shall worry about that later. Now, if you please. I just need a little help. Come, make haste.
The whole word prejudice is pre-judgment, right? Judging someone before you know them. And she's making assumptions based on little knowledge. Now, we don't have a lot of, at least in Western culture, we don't have a lot of betrothed marriages today. We're all about choice and getting to know your partner and choosing your partner. But this is definitely true in dating. We rely a lot on first impressions or word of mouth. And in dating, just like in any other situation, it's important to actually get to know the person and see who they really are. And if who you think they are matches up with who they actually are. And to be constantly adjusting who you think they are based on new information.
Hello friends. Let's talk about something that's affected all of our lives. 1 in 5 children in the US is sexually abused before the age of 18. So that's either you, someone you love, or both. We're grateful to tell you all about Supriya, which is a non-profit organization that exists to liberate individuals and society from child sexual abuse and its lasting impacts. They empower healing for individuals who were sexually abused as children or adolescents. Supriya does that through retreats, support groups, and online resources. All of these are offered free of charge thanks to the generosity of Supriya's donors. Let me tell you about their healing retreats. These are free, clinically informed 4-day experiences for adults who experience sexual abuse as children or adolescents. They are followed by a self-guided online course for survivors. The retreats are led by a team of licensed therapists and case managers who are eager to help survivors heal. These retreats teach survivors about the impacts of trauma, provide opportunities to apply healing tools, and build a community of support. The subsequent online course builds upon that foundation of deeper understanding and the application of healing principles. The retreat is hosted in 2 locations, Utah and Georgia. Survivors have the opportunity to choose which location they prefer when they submit their application. I encourage you to take advantage of this free resource and to share it with those who could use it. Click the link below to learn more about Supriya's healing retreats and see if they're a fit for you.
Let's see what happens when she sees who she's actually talking to.
I have absolutely no intention of helping you.
I'm a lady in distress. You refuse to help a lady in distress.
I refuse when that lady in distress is trying to go over a wall so that she does not have to marry me. Hello, Charlotte. I'm George.
I am deep, please. Your Majesty.
Not Your Majesty. George.
Some things that I love about this right out of the gate, especially as we're looking at healthy relationships, dating, trying to get the ball rolling with someone that you're interested in. She takes a step back because she's surprised. He takes a single step forward and then he stops because he wants to close the distance and actually engage with her, but he doesn't want to violate her personal space. I love the direction of this scene, how the scene was directed for the actors, the choices that were made, that he stops and he still gives her about 3 feet. He just wants to be able to make eye contact. And when she starts to bow and say, Your Majesty, when he bends down to take her hand, he doesn't rush in to close the space. He just leans forward and takes her hand and pulls her up. And just George, right? That he's establishing right away, I see you as an equal. That there's not going to be formality here. There's not going to be a hierarchy based on our position. If we are to be a partnership, then you are my partner.
I mean, yes, Your Majesty, but to you, just George.
I am... Please accept my apology. If I had known that you were you.
You would have what? Not told me that you were trying to escape?
Well, yes. I mean... I do apologize, Your Majesty.
George. Just George. The king situation, it towers over us. Accident of birth on my part. But I thought maybe perhaps as my wife you could ignore it and I could be just George to you. That was, of course, before I found out that you do not want to be married to me.
I did not say that.
Oh, you did.
I did not.
You did?
It is not... I do not know you.
I do not know you either. Except that you are terrible at climbing a wall.
You try climbing a wall in all of these garments.
It's a good meet cute.
What?
You are incomparable. No one told me you would be this beautiful. You may be too beautiful to marry me. People will talk.
What I want to emphasize about this clip that we just watched is how mindful George is about what she's going through and what she's feeling. She doesn't know him. She wants to escape. He has different goals in mind. He doesn't especially want to marry her either because he doesn't know her, but he's bound by duty and the need to produce an heir in order to retain his throne, right? So he has different goals in mind. But what's beautiful is he's not going to impose those goals on her or force her to do anything or say, I am the king or I am the husband, or just you're going to do things my way because I have stronger force of will. You know, he leans in close to her to flirt a little bit and to say something cheeky, and then he takes a step back just to maintain her space because he saw when she stepped back that she needed space, right? And he wanted closeness, so he split the difference and he took a step closer, and then he stayed like 3 feet away from her, as I said. I really like that he understands because he's going through the exact same thing. She says, I don't know you. He says, I don't know you either. But he doesn't presume that their experience is the exact same or that they're feeling the exact same thing. And the last thing I want to point out is he does flirt when he tells her that she's beautiful, almost too beautiful to marry him. People will talk, and she laughs. But it's not a line. And that's one of the things we see about George, is for all his faults and flaws and struggles, he is a very sincere person. So if you haven't seen this, you may have heard The Madness of King George. That's historical truth. In this story, he's keeping that from her. They marry. She thinks, okay, he's cute, he's handsome, he's sweet. Maybe I do want to be married to him. So they get married, and then she goes in one day from I want to jump over the wall and escape to I'm kind of looking forward to my wedding night. You know, if this has to happen anyways, let's enjoy it. And he drops her off at a different house, and he goes to his and stays in his observatory. And she's very hurt and feels very rejected. And what he's not revealing to her is that the reason he's keeping her at arm's length is because of his mental illness. He's keeping her at arm's length because he assumes that she won't want him if she knows who he really is and what he struggles with. And so his plan, it's a great plan, is to keep it a secret from her.
She will never find out. That's the point of lying.
But ultimately, she comes to visit him in his observatory. She thinks he loves the stars more than me. He loves the planets more than me. He's more interested in his telescope than in me. And he shows a wonderful moment, again, of perspective taking and trying to see what she's going through and experiencing.
Look, do you see it?
I do not see anything.
Well, concentrate.
I cannot concentrate with you hovering and breathing and telling me to concentrate.
Let me just turn the
Would
focus
you
a tiny
just
bit.
step away and let me... Oh my word, what is that?
That is Venus.
Venus? The planet Venus. I am staring at Venus.
You are. I've been studying it. See, a rare occurrence is coming. Venus will travel in a specific arc and give us a single moment to take precise measurements.
So he's sharing with her something that he enjoys and that's beautiful to him, and she is open to it and she wants to know about it.
You shall know the distance from the Earth to the Sun. The transit of Venus, it is called. It will be quite the spectacle.
The Gottmans call this accepting
is.
influence.
Well, George, it is beautiful.
It is.
He says that while looking at her. So she comes in hot, and by hot I mean she comes in angry. Angry that he's been keeping her at arm's length. She's demanding that they spend time together. And when she shows interest in what he's interested in, he opens up to her.
And this is what you have been doing.
There is something about the heavens. In this world we live in, where I'm given so much power and attention, it is good to remember I'm a bit of dust on a small dot in the universe. Keeps one humble.
Before she was mad, you choose your stars and your planets over me. Now, she sees a little bit of why it's so beautiful to him, right? Instead of just seeing him as a jerk or as a monster or as a troll, she sees him as somebody who's trying to maintain his humility while he wears the crown. Someone who's trying to remind himself that he's just a speck of dust. And suddenly it doesn't seem like the actions of a jerk anymore. That said, it still hurts her that he's kept her at arm's length. And this is an important thing about relationships. Another person's behavior can hurt us. And when we're hurting, we're prone to pass judgment on their behavior and on the person. When we understand where they're coming from, usually it makes sense. It doesn't change the fact that it still affects you the way it does.
Being king is a hazard. My world has been made to revolve around me. It has made me selfish. I cannot imagine how painful and cruel it must have been to have me ruin your wedding night.
It was your wedding night too.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, well, I do not forgive you.
I love her.
Yet.
Yet. Yet is good. Yet is hope.
Perhaps.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up too fast there, Tiger.
It almost does not quite count as a wedding night. Because we did not actually have the night part.
See, this is what I'm talking about. We're not going to show you
I can
here
tell that as well.
on YouTube what happens
Just
next.
start over.
Sorry about that.
Try again. You are willing?
That seems very... I think that is a reasonable idea.
Here we go. Oh, blush. We all got here by these means. This is how babies come into the earth. Okay, so here's a couple things, and I've said this before in previous Bridgerton videos. One, I love that Bridgerton makes marriage sexy. There's a stereotype in pop culture that once you get married, the thrill is gone, and the sex is gone, and the heat is gone, and the passion is gone. Statistically, that's not the case. Statistically, the most sexually satisfied people tend to be married or in long-term committed relationships. It could be the security. It could be the feeling of safety and connection. It could be the amount of practice you have with that person of figuring out their likes and their dislikes and communication. Like, And I'm not saying there are not other sexually satisfied people, but you don't see it a lot, right? And I love in Bridgerton that it makes married sex beautiful and connecting and lovely and passionate. It's awesome. I also like how mindful George is of consent, right? Now, granted, this is historical fiction and it's written by writers from today, but what are they modeling? When he says, we could try again, he says, if you're willing. And he's holding her hands and he's looking at her, but he's not grabbing her, he's not tearing her bodice open, he's not doing anything like that. He's checking with her and he's seeing what's good for her, and I think that's lovely. These are small examples, simple examples, but lovely examples of taking interest in another person's emotional experience, your partner's emotional experience. What are they going through? I also like that George is modeling here, not just showing interest, not just checking for consent, but also voicing his desires, right? He's not just putting himself on the altar and sacrificing who he is and what he wants for her. I think we talk about healthy relationships require sacrifice, which is true, but sometimes we overdo that, right? And we lose ourselves. I think it's good to put your partner before yourself a lot of the time, but not necessarily instead of yourself. And George doesn't do that. He definitely puts Charlotte before him. He's not going to steamroll her. But he also makes sure that he is part of this equation and who he is and what he wants. And I mean, yes, there are times that he steamrolls her, but he and the show both acknowledge that is, not okay. So what have you thought of this video of Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, if you've been watching it? And what do healthy boundaries and consent and perspective taking and communication, these things, what do they look like for you in the day-to-day, in your real life? Let us know in the comments below because we love to learn from you. In our next Queen Charlotte video, we're going to explore loving somebody who experiences mental illness, as Charlotte comes to understand what it is that George has been wrestling with and what it is that he finds so shameful. And if you need help building a healthy relationship with your partner, go to mendedlight.com and schedule a complimentary 15-minute consultation with a member of our team today. If you've enjoyed this, I've got a whole series of Bridgerton videos. Here's one of them right here. Check it out. Until next time, folks, keep shining because we need your light.